What's up, hombres? UFC Fight Night Moreno versus Kavanagh is upon us. The big one. The card we've all been waiting for. Nah, this card's hella mid on paper, but you know how these Mexico cards go. They're usually fireworks and the crowd is always fun at these ones. Last time we had a Mexican card, it was a Diego Lopez versus Jean Silva card, and that one went off. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have a big main event to do the heavy lifting. In fact, there's only 2 ranked fights on this card and they're both kind of ass. So I almost didn't do a video for this one because I just know it's going to be dead and no one gives a shit. But here we are. Goes to show how exciting my life is on a Friday night. We got to keep these picks alive, boys. I do this for you fucking guys. We're coming off that big Sean Strickland by TKO pick last weekend. I picked that fight perfectly. I said Sean would break him as the fight went on, hurt him to the body and win by TKO in the later rounds. Happy with that one. Look, the rest of the card, not so much, but we live to fight another day. This card's honestly one of the shittest on paper I've seen in quite a while, but we have got a few entertaining fighters on here. Beggars can't be choosers. There's a lot of Mexicans, a few Brazilians, a few names that I recognise, a bit of flyweight fun. Cheeto versus Martinez could be decent. Bobby Green, hopefully he's going to get slimed out. Couple of prospects, a few unks. Yeah, it's a fucking random card, to be honest. Welcome to the Paramount era, boys. I'm so glad we spent $7.7 billion on this shit. The picks this week, not going to lie, there's a few I'm just guessing, but I do feel pretty decent about a lot of them. I reckon I've got a pretty good read on this card. I'm feeling a bit better than last week anyway. One thing you can count on with Punch Ons MMA is that I have a real knack for picking mid to low level fights that nobody cares about correctly. So you just know we're about to pitch a shutout on this card. Come along for the ride as we flip the coin, waffle about nonsense and discuss some cooked MMA math. I'll keep it short and sweet this week because there's really nothing much to talk about. No one seems to give a fuck about this card, including me. Honestly, I'll probably go play golf and just catch the highlights of it later. But let's fire off the picks anyway so you blokes can win some money. Speaking of that, make sure you hang around till the end to cop the Punch Ons Parlay. We were one leg off last week, so close. Yadier Del Valle, again, fuck you. He would have sold a lot of people's parlays, I reckon, so you can't blame me for that one. Drop a like and a subscribe if you're enjoying the Punch Ons picks. Here we go. UFC Fight Night, Moreno versus Kavanagh. Full card predictions. Let's punch on. Yeah, the main event, Moreno versus Kavanagh. This main event is kind of cheeks, I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty done with Brandon Moreno. Never been that high on him anyway, but now he's coming off one of the worst losses of his career against Tatsuro Taira, and he's bouncing back really quickly after getting knocked out. He was supposed to be fighting Asu Almabayev, who I reckon could have given him a good scrap, but instead, the up-and-coming Lonnie Kavanagh has been pulled from his fight against Bruno Silva, and in he steps here in a main event against the former champ Brandon Moreno. Pretty strange matchmaking. Look, it kind of goes to show how shallow flyweight is, especially just outside the top 3 or 4. But I guess the UFC likes this guy, Lonnie Kavanagh. They want to give him a chance, and he was ready at the right time. You know, Dana loves it when guys say yes, so he gets his big main event opportunity. I reckon with the state that flyweight's in at the moment, Alden Correa won't be far away from a main event as well, or like a big step up of his own after that impressive performance last weekend. Anyway, don't know how this one's going to go, to be honest, boys. Lonnie Kavanagh, he was looking pretty good up until he stepped into a right hook from Charles Johnson, who just got absolutely murked by Alex Perez. So a lot of these fights aren't aging well. Look, I know Lonnie Kavanagh is young, and when he got slept by Charles Johnson, I said he's going to bounce back from this. He'll be back. He'll learn his lesson. He just got unked by one of the best. But now he's stepping in there against another unk who, honestly, despite being an unk and most likely past his prime, Moreno's still him, bro. For this type of fight that I can see it being, a tit-for-tat striking battle where Moreno is going to be looking to keep it on the feet, you know, doing his thing, mewing at range, dipping in and out, while Lonnie Kavanagh looks to knock him out, I can honestly see this being a Brandon Moreno type of fight. Moreno's been the gold standard of striking at flyweight for the better part of the last 5 or 6 years. Tatsuro Taira, yeah, he won, but he kind of just strength mogged him and just got to that really good position on the back from his grappling. And I don't think Lonnie Kavanagh is going to be looking to exploit that grappling kind of advantage. I don't think he even has one. I think Moreno is a better grappler, and while he may be outmatched in terms of speed and power, I still think he's going to be crafty enough to stay one step ahead of Lonnie Kavanagh. I could honestly see Moreno kind of schooling this young whippersnapper, teaching him a bit of a lesson. I could see Kavanagh maybe winning a round or two, landing a big shot that gets Moreno wobbled, and we're thinking, oh, is this it? Is Moreno's chin finally cracked? But I reckon Moreno will shake it off, mix in a bit of grappling, do his thing on the feet, and settle back into a championship style of fight, slow things down, and draw it out. I reckon this one does go 5 rounds, and if it does, I see a clear advantage in experience, in heart, in gas tank for Brandon Moreno. Could I see a world where Loney Kavanagh bounces back hard, where he proves he's too fast and too powerful for this fucking Lego nerd? Yeah, absolutely, I could see that. Do I think that's the most likely outcome? No. I think Moreno gets this one done. I'm not as confident as I was last week with my underdog pick, but I do think that Moreno's championship experience will be enough for him to eke out a close but clear decision win. Mewing on the feet, wins at 49-46, maybe one judge has it 48-47, possibly even a split decision where one round swings it. But I think we're going to be walking away from this one going, Loney Kavanagh, he's good, but he's not quite championship level yet, and Moreno is still that guy. So Moreno by decision is the official pick in the main event. Let's keep rolling. Marlon Vera versus David Martinez. David Martinez is a pretty dangerous dude. You got to respect Cheeto for how willing he is to jump in there with every killer that has ever come up in the bantamweight division. Cheeto, he's underrated and underappreciated, bro. I love this man. He's a fucking stand-up guy. He's a family man. He fights hard, active as fuck, long, exciting career. Yeah, I've got plenty of respect for Marlon Vera. Unfortunately, though, at this stage of his career, he is a win one, lose one type of fighter, and in my opinion, he won that Ayman Zahabi fight. Robbery of the fucking year last year. Like this video if you think Cheeto won that fight. So yeah, he's coming off a win over a solid contender in Ayman Zahabi, who a lot of people rate. I think he's primed to lose this one to David Martinez. Martinez showed that he's legit. I mean, who does that to Rob Font? He dominated him in that fight and pretty much had him TKO'd by the end of it. He hasn't done a lot else in the UFC, but he looked good enough in that fight alone for me to say he belongs in the top 10. And if you're a top 10 guy at bantamweight, you should be able to beat Cheeto Vera at this stage of his career. Cheeto's tough. He will put up a good fight. I say this every Cheeto fight, he's impossible to chin. Up there with Marvin Vettori for one of the best chins in the UFC. That knee he ate from Sean O'Malley in their second fight was absolutely sickening. Heavyweights would have gone down to that knee. Look, there is a world where Cheeto shows up and cockroach maxes his way to a 29-28 decision, but I just don't see it in this one. I think the UFC has a decent prospect in David Martinez, and even though I don't think he's championship material, I do reckon he's good enough on the feet and he has enough power that he'll give Cheeto a hard time. Cheeto is dumb as dog shit in the octagon, very predictable and able to be manipulated. Martinez will be crashing in, landing big shots. Cheeto will be eating them, landing shots back of his own, having his moments, but it'll be Martinez who lands the better damage, rips Cheeto to the body, has him backed up to the cage for the majority of the fight. Probably a lot of clinching going on in this one, and at the end of it, I can see Martinez being the stronger, more athletic dude who will have the better optics in this fight. I'm going to go with David Martinez by decision. There's no way Cheeto gets finished by anything other than a fucking sledgehammer to the temple, and even then he'd probably get back up. So I'm going to go with Martinez by decision, but I reckon Cheeto will make him earn it. 29-28, close but clear. The feature fight, Daniel Zellhuber versus Bobby Green. Bro, fuck Bobby Green. I'm going completely based on vibes and hope on this one, but man, do I hope that Bobby Green gets flatlined or choked out cold one more time. I don't even remember why, but I just remember feeling a pure distilled sense of rage watching Bobby Green's last fight. That's right, against Lance Gibson Jr., he just yapped non-stop, emoted and danced around the cage doing fuck all, and people said he schooled the guy. Plus, just look at this prick's smug face. Honestly, I would love to punch Bobby Green in his stupid face. Zellhuber is pretty trash, let's be honest, but he should be able to handle Bobby Green if he's worth a pinch of purple pelican poop. It's not ideal that he's coming off a loss to Uncle Michael Johnson. He did not look good at all in that fight, and Uncle Mike isn't that different to Bobby Green. But you'd have to think that Zellhuber has made some adjustments from that fight. He was just so hesitant and unwilling to use his weapons. I mean, come on, this guy's 6'1" with a 77-inch reach. Bobby Green can't wrestle for shit. What does Zellhuber have to be afraid of? Bobby's striking is okay, but he's not some guy who's going to knock your block off. He's just going to move around, yapping and putting together some volume on you and piss you off by dodging and ducking out of the way of your power shots. Zellhuber just has to fight using a minimum of 50% of his brain power, and he should win this. He should mix in a bit of wrestling, get Bobby Green biting on the feints, throw knees and elbows, don't fall into the trap of getting worked around and frustrated by Bobby Green, and it should be his fight to lose. I think Zellhuber is live for a finish, but I just think he's too dumb and hesitant. I reckon he'll take the safe option. He needs a win. I reckon he'll put Bobby Green down, control him, maybe lose a round or maybe just a few moments, but I see a Daniel Zellhuber unanimous decision win here. A finish wouldn't shock me either though. If Bobby Green wins this, pack her up, boys. Zellhuber, welcome to the PFL, brother. You are cooked. So a hopeful, somewhat confident, and hopefully not delusional pick here. I reckon Zellhuber gets it done comfortably on the cards. Edgar Chairez versus Felipe Bunes. Edgar Chairez is pretty solid, man. He's got a decent submission game. He's got long-rangey striking, a good chin, a lot of heart. He's got that Mexican dog in him, that Chihuahua. Felipe Bunes is nothing special at all. He gets beaten by any decent caliber opponent, and he only beats bums. I think Chairez is going to out-dog him, piece him up, put a pace on him, and put him away by round 2 TKO through volume, knees, clinch work, and I reckon he's probably going to get a pretty nasty finish when it's all said and done. So confident pick of Chairez by finish, but any outcome of the fight is also possible for Chairez here. He's got a nasty choke game as well. I reckon he wins this comfortably. Emmanuel Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. I am never picking Kevin Borjas again, bro. Not after that fucking travesty of a performance against Sumadaji. I've never been so fucking infuriated in my life as watching that fight. Borjas is a midget, bro. Holy shit, he's got more height and reach than Emmanuel Rodriguez. Fuck that. Emmanuel Rodriguez, he looks way nastier. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I've never seen the bloke fight, but he looks like a tank. He went to a split decision with Joseph Morales on The Ultimate Fighter. And yeah, I just can't pick Kevin Borjas, bro. Never again. Maybe he does outclass this curly-headed fuck Rodriguez, but I don't reckon. Up-and-coming guys fighting for their chance in the UFC, they always go 50% harder, and Borjas looked like a bitch in his last fight. So I reckon Emmanuel Rodriguez comes out swinging hard, he clips Kevin Borjas in round 1 and puts him away by TKO. Bit of a guess to be honest, but Kevin Borjas is shit, and I like picking shit cunts to lose. Speaking of shit cunts losing, Angel Pacheco versus Santiago Luna. I am locking in Santiago Luna. Not much explanation needed here, I don't reckon. Angel Pacheco doesn't belong in the UFC, let alone on the main card of a fight night in a crowded arena. He's only here so the UFC can make a highlight reel for Santiago Luna, or at least get him a win. Santiago Luna, he's pretty decent. I picked this guy to beat Quang Li by KO last time around in Mexico, and he did not disappoint. I reckon he makes light work of Angel Pacheco, a bloke who's never won in the UFC, should be cut after he loses this, and even though he's never been finished, I reckon Santiago Luna will be the first guy to do it. He'll start slow, he'll warm into the fight, and eventually he'll find the chin of Angel Pacheco late in round 2 or early round 3, and he'll put him away in nasty fashion. Locked and loaded, Santiago Luna is on the rise at bantamweight. Angel Pacheco will be with the Angels after this one. All right, on to the prelim quick picks. Every time I say here's the prelim quick picks, I'm still there talking about the outside foot battler, the early prelim opener 15 minutes later. So today we're shooting through them in record time. Here we go. Starting with Ryan Gandra versus Jose Daniel Medina. Medina is shit, but he has a good chin. It took Atiba Gautier to crack it. Gandra has heavy hands and he should beat Jose Medina, but not before a scrap and a bit of a war. I've got Ryan Gandra getting this one done on the cards, 29-28. Aylin Perez versus Macy Chiasson. Macy Chiasson looked completely clueless and out of her depth fighting Yana Santos in her last fight. Awful performance. Aylin Perez has been on a very solid run, beaten mid-level girls, but the win over Jocelyn Edwards is aging very well. I'll take Aylin Perez to put on a dominant performance, and I reckon she'll submit Macy Chiasson by armbar or a choke in round 2 or 3. Christian Quinonez versus Chris Moutinho. Yeah, we're not picking Chris Moutinho to win a fight on the channel in big 2026. I'm not that much of a troll. Even if Moutinho wins, I'll still feel okay about a Quinonez pick. I can't say the same if I pick Moutinho like a fucking idiot and he loses. We're going with Christian Quinonez by KO in round 1, even if he sucks, which he does. Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Javier Reyes. A couple of unks with complete coin flip fighting styles and records. Nothing to see here. Let's flip the coin and be on our way. Javier is heads, Douglas is tails. Both by KO. Spinning wheel kick inside the first 45 seconds. Here we go. It is tails, so we are going to go with Douglas Silva de Andrade by spinning wheel kick. Let's keep running. Regina Tarin versus Anesta Carrot Muncher. I've heard whispers that this Regina Tarin bird is decent. She's been sliming bitches out on the regional scene. Kareckaite, look, I've seen her fight a couple of times. Nothing to write home about whatsoever. I'm going to go with Regina Tarin winning by TKO and looking good while doing it. Eric Silva versus Francis Marshall. I don't mind Francis Marshall at all. He could have won that fight against Myron Santos. That was a razor-thin split decision, and I think Myron Santos is actually pretty damn good, so that's a good look for Francis Marshall. I'm feeling very confident about a Francis Fire Marshall dominant victory here over Eric Silva, who also isn't UFC level. Not exactly sure of the method here. Marshall could well finish him either way, but I'm going to go with the safe pick of a dominant decision win for Francis Marshall where he mixes in some grappling and wins 30-27. And opening up the Mexican card is, of course, an American versus a guy from Suriname. Wes Party Time Schultz versus Damian Pinas. Not lying, guys. This guy's name is Pinas. Now, I'm sure the commentary team is going to come out and ruin the fun and pronounce it like Pinas or something, but we are referring to this guy as the big black cock. I reckon Pinas is going to violate this long-haired fuck Wes Schultz. Don't ask me why. Pretty sure I've never seen either of them fight, and you know sure as shit I ain't Googling Pinas fights and watching a few. I'm going to say Wes Schultz gets knocked out by Pinas. Pinas will be all over him, smashing him in the face, landing on his chin, smacking him over and over until the ref pulls Pinas off him and declares him the winner. The crowd will be cheering for Pinas. They will want more and more, and Pinas will absolutely be on the rise. Pinas by dominant KO. Let's see how the YouTube bots like this one. All right, time to get on the Punch Ons Parlay for the week, boys. Here it is, leg one of our 4-leg multi this week. It is Francis Marshall. And I reckon Francis Marshall, as I said, has any choice of his ways to get this one done. I'm going to go just on the nose Francis Marshall here. Santiago Luna, my other lock, that's the next leg. The locks are going to be good this week, I reckon, boys. So, again, don't know how they're going to win. I think Luna will probably win by KO, but he's got a few tools in his toolkit. So, we're going to go him just to win as well. Same with Edgar Chairez. I reckon this guy's an absolute shoo-in to win this fight. I reckon he can get it done anyway, he likes as well. So, we're just going to go with win. We're going to go with a bit of a safe one this week. And the final one is David Martinez. And I'm going to put a double chance on him to win by KO or decision. I'm pretty sure he's going to win by decision, but you never know. Cheeto, yeah, look, he gets hit a lot, and Martinez has got heavy hands. So I'm just going to put a safety bet there of KO or decision, double chance. This one's not exactly going to, get you set for life if you win this one, boys. I'll put it into my app, and it's only paying $2.28, but we need to hit one of these fellas, and I reckon this one is pretty much a sure thing this week. So if you want to double your money, jump on this 4-legger. It's Francis Marshall, Santiago Luna, Edgar Chairez, and David Martinez. And that's about it, boys. Thanks for watching the picks this week. I know the card's nothing special, but hopefully you can enjoy it, and hopefully there's some pretty sick fights. The Mexican cards usually go pretty hard. There's always at least one or two pretty epic wars, and it'll be interesting to see how Loney Kavanagh stacks up against a divisional stalwart in Brandon Moreno. Make sure you like the video, fellas. Subscribe. Make sure you check out our Instagram as well here at Punch Ons MMA. I'll see you fellas on the next fucking balls up of a video. See you later. Punch on.